Hello and welcome to our van plan. So today's job is to make a start on the sound deadening. Now this is a bare panel van and it very much sounds like one. We've decided to use Silent Coat 2mm sound deadening sheets to apply to all of the panels around the van, also the ceiling and floor, to try and take away some of that hollow metal vibration sound. I think there's various thoughts as to whether it really is necessary or not, how much to put on or not. So we're going to give it a go. We've got a couple of packs, see how we get on. So let's get started. Okay, so each pack has 20 of these pre-cut sheets in, and they've got the sticky back or protective backing that you just peel off in order to stick. And then if we look at each of our panels in this van, I think the rule is to cover approximately 50% of the panel, and I think that kind of does that. So we're going to stick with one of these sheets per section here all the way around. We'll cut some smaller ones to go in the gaps along the top here, and then we'll have a think about the ceiling where we've got the kind of grooves we can kind of put it over, and then also on the floor. I don't think we're going to have enough to cover the entire floor that we want to do, but in the area, this area here where we'll be coming in and out of the van quite a lot and stomping around, we might put some in, but we'll see how we get on and how much we've got left. So we'll start with the first panel, and because these are already bought into pre-cut sheets, it makes it a bit easier. Try and get it, not that it matters, it's going to be hidden. Try and get that central on the panel, and then get that down as much as possible, and then finally take the trusty roller. There we go, panel one done. So we've done all the wall panels now, all the way along the top. Just had to cut a piece into two for the top pieces, and then normal size pieces along the bottom. I've left this bit off now because that's where the electric hookup's going to come through to. Bit on the top of the doors there, and then more on this side, and a bit more above the sliding door. So the next things to do really are to try and take the black cover off the bottom of the sliding door and the bottom of the two rear doors and try and get some in there. Also the massive wheel arch cover, sounds more like a bongo drum, is next, and then we'll start on the floor and ceiling. Okay, so now we've done the walls, we're going to move on to the ceiling. It's obviously quite ridged here, so it's just a case of lining up the sheet as square as you can get it, and then as you peel off this, get rid of all that, making sure you conform it to the shape of the roof as much as possible. And then give it a good finish off with the roller. So these bits are a bit fiddly to get into all of the shapes of the ceiling, but this little metal roller is pretty good for that. And the rest of the ceiling we've done. I think we could probably fit some more bits in into the middle, but we're just being a bit cautious with the amount of sheets we've got left. as we want to do the floor as well and the wheel arches next. Right, these are absolutely ginormous wheel arches, probably the biggest in any van, and they're quite hollow and horrible. Worked out in my number of pieces of this that we've got left, and in order to do the floor as well and the other wheel arch, we're going to run out. Some people seem to cover the whole thing across and then along here. I don't think we need to do that, so what we're going to try and do is cut each of these in half and then kind of just do strips over it to try and bring that down as best possible, but keeping plenty of these left for the floor. So that's one wheel arch done. Yeah, that's definitely tons better. I think I might put a bit down here as well. Got a bit left over. Might pop that in there, do the other wheel arch, and then it's time for the floor. Right, so I don't know how well the microphone will pick this up, but actually having done the wheel arches, that's the biggest difference that we've noticed. So the one on this side hasn't been done yet, so I'm going to hit that as hard as I can, and then the one on this side, and hopefully you'll be able to pick up the difference. So basically it's much more, that's really hollow sounding and quite high pitched, that's much lower frequency and definitely less hollow sounding. So hopefully with all of this across the whole back of the van, it'll make a big difference. So we finished installing the sound deadening on the walls, roof, and today we finished on the floor by cutting into thin strips and then laying along the channels in between the ridges. We went out for a drive in the van earlier and it definitely makes a difference. It kind of makes it less echoey and rattly and less hollow sounding, particularly on the wheel arches. But yeah, overall I think it's well worth doing. We definitely used the bare minimum as possible, so we needed to make sure the packs that we bought covered the entire van because I didn't really want to buy any more. We could have gone a bit bigger with it or covered a bit more with it, but we decided to stick to around 50% of the panels. So the next thing we're going to do is something that I was umming and ahhing about, and that is to install some closed cell foam. So we've gone with Dodomat, I think it's 6mm closed cell foam. Bought 4 packs of this. And in my mind, one of the real benefits of it, I think, is to cover all of the panels and to reduce the amount of bare metal behind all the walls and the insulation, to reduce condensation, and also to, again, help with the sound deadening and making it feel a little bit more, well, adding to the insulation as well. Again, most people don't seem to do this, and I think really for a bit of extra money and a bit of extra time, it's kind of worth it in my eyes. So we'll give that a go, starting with all the panels on the walls and the ceiling, and see how we get on. Okay, so I probably should have thought about this a bit more before starting. Couple of issues. It's not quite as easy as I thought it would be to use. First of all, the stuff on the back really comes off in your fingers quite a lot, so applying is a bit of a pain. Also, the rolls are a little bit narrower, obviously, than the panels. I've had to kind of make choices as to where I would cover with a single piece and then any gaps that I might leave. It's all fine because I can fill those in later. It just makes it a little bit messy, and I mean, it's going to be hidden, so it doesn't really matter. I'm leaving the middle parts here clear for now because I don't know whether I want wires up there. I need to insulate in there anyway before then applying a single piece across and bridging that gap there. So I think it'll be all right longer term, but just initially, it's not quite as neat and nice as I thought it would be. Okay, so time to call it a day for today. It's Saturday evening and I need a beer. The Dodomat install has been kind of fairly full of hassle and stress and annoyance, mainly because of the tackiness of it and the fact that the back doesn't really peel off consistently at times once you've cut it. I've definitely got better from the first panels behind me. I've done some of the high panels at the back, covered the wheel arches, and also covered the floor in between the raised bits down here, to kind of hopefully add some additional insulation before the PIR board goes down. Would I do it again? Not sure really. It's been a lot of hassle. I think the end result will be good and will be worth it. So I've got a few more bits to do. I need to think about whether I'm going to attempt to do the doors as well and try and get in there, because that's quite fiddly, or not. And then the rest I'm going to leave, for example, in the bed area until we know what we're doing with the bed. I don't want to stick this stuff on and then have to remove it. So yeah, catch up with you tomorrow. Morning, back in the van. It's Sunday morning, a bit colder today, but we've got a full day ahead of us. So the first task for today is to finish on the install of the Dodomat sound deadening. We're going to do the floor and the ceiling today, and then any other bits of the walls that I can do now. Some of it's going to have to wait until we know what we're doing, for example in the bed area, but we want to get that done, get that out of the way before we move on to the next thing. So let's get going. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this video up here. So we've basically installed our silent coat sound deadening panels to the van, across the walls, floor and ceiling, and then we've gone along with the Dodomat superliner and applied that to all the panels on the walls, and also a little bit on the floor and on the ceiling as well. The combination of those two things should keep the van not only less rattly and hollow sounding, but also quieter, and this Dodomat stuff should help with insulation. It's reducing the amount of bare metal on display, even though it will ultimately be behind all the PIR board and the walls and everything, but you can certainly feel how warm these panels are now versus the bare metal. We've left some of the panels free from the Dodomat, so for example here where the bed's going to go, I don't quite know how I'm going to kind of box this in yet, so I didn't want to put this stuff on only to have to take it out. Same at the front of the van where the fan is, and also on the floor. We've got a lot of the superliner left, so I'll probably do a bit more on the floor I think, but for now I think that's job well done. Hope you found this video useful, and it would be great if you could like and subscribe to our channel and keep up to date with what we're going to be doing in our conversion over the coming weeks and months. You can also follow us on Instagram at ourvanplan, and we'll see you next time.